Hey, welcome back to Garage Force Restos. In this episode, we're going to get into the interior. We're going to rip everything out, get a good look inside, and see what kind of metalwork we're going to be into. We know that it needs a new floor, but let's take a closer look, really make sure we're clear on what we've got to do. How are the inner rockers when it meets the floor? How is the lower firewall when it meets the toe board of that floor? Got to get a good look under that, underneath the back seat. Got to get a good look at that. We know there's at least one mouse house in there, and so it's time to rip that out, clean it, and then put the seats back in, and we'll call that good enough because really right now, as I said, I just want to get an inventory of what's going on in there, so I know what to order, know what I'm in for as we think about the next steps in the metalwork and the bodywork phase. Let's get at it. Okay, so what we're going to do is get this front bench seat out, and then we will take out the rear bench as well, and then we'll pull up all this flooring and see what we're looking at underneath. The problem with these rubber liners from the factory is that while it was easy cleanup, it didn't let water evaporate like carpet does, and so water gets trapped between the metal and the rubber liner, and you know what happens then. And so I know the floor of this car is rough. It's the worst part really of the whole car. And so I want to pull this interior out so we can get a really good look at what's left and determine what the order is going to look like from AMD. Am I going to go full piece, left and right sides? Well, what will the rear pan look like? All that. I have an idea of what it looks like from under the car, but getting this interior out is important next step to knowing what I'm in for in total for metalwork. Of course, we gotta pull this headliner out because it's no longer headlining. It's just in the way. So that's gotta come out. I'm not gonna pull the dash out. I'm gonna leave this car drivable. We might pull the dash pad because it's a bit rough. Might pull that off, but not really worried about the dash and the column. That's all fine. It will come out for the restoration, but for now, we're not there. The next step is metalwork. And so pulling this interior out is a step to making sure we understand what metalwork we're going to be in for underneath, and that's it. And then the seats are going to go back in. No headliner yet, of course. And then we're going to move on to metalwork. That's going to be the next major phase. So let's get busy. I'm going to pull this seat out, I hope. A little bit worried about the 4 bolts underneath. We'll get a look at that and get going. That's next. All right, front bench is out. It's really clean. So next up, let's pull this floor up. It's got to go. I just wanted to stop for a second and show you. This is why those rubber mats are the worst thing for an old classic car. This is damp. Now, of course, likely damp from when I last did the deep clean episode. But the point is, once water gets in between the rubber mat and the steel floor, it just eats and eats. So you can see this floor is shot. It looks like, at first glance, that the solution here is going to be two pans, a left side and a right side. We're going to get this rear seat out and have a look under there and understand what that rear pan looks like. But my expectation is it's going to be fine. There might be some light rust, but because it wasn't fighting evaporation with the rubber mats like the front was, I don't expect to be a problem back there. So I'm going to sweep this up and then we'll vacuum and we'll come back. All right, she's all vacuumed out. It's rough. Rougher on the driver's side, but still rough. As you might expect, the tunnel's fine. Typically is. But look at over here. She is rough. Back in there. We'll get the rear seat out. We'll have a better look. See, the front floor pan is toast too. What concerns me most about what I'm looking at here is up at the toe board. This part will come with a new pan. That part there, the toe board up top there, the upper part, is not something I wanted to get into. It's pretty scaly. So I'm going to have to take a real close look at that and see if I'm going to have to do metal work on that. It looks pretty rough. But I got to get a better look at it. From the other side, it's fine, right? So I know because it's painted and we saw the engine bay. It's all good in there. So it doesn't look like it's through anywhere. I just need to get the wire wheel in there and have a better look at that. And then, so we'll take this rear seat out and we'll have a look under that as well and get that all vacuumed up. But look, based on what I'm seeing right now, it's two left and right, one of each, left and right floor pans, full floor pans. They run from the back all the way to the front at the toe board there. The exact same thing I did in the Charger. What is good about that is, A, it's easier to get in as opposed to a full floor pan. But B, most importantly, this tunnel is going to get cut up to fit properly the 6-speed transmission that's going to go in here. So ordering a full pan, I'll have to cut up the tunnel anyway to make it all work. And so this tunnel being fine, like the Charger, I'll just run a butt weld all the way along with the new pan, all the way up, and a little bit of body work, and you'll never know. It'll be completely concealed as to if the pan was ever replaced, full or partial. So that's where we're at right now. Let's get that rear seat out. I'm gonna have to take a pause for the cause here and go and snow blow the driveway. Great. Okay, time for the rear bench. Not in there properly, that's great. All right, here's a look at the rear floor pan area. Really happy. Everything is in just fantastic condition back here. So that metal will not have to be replaced. And so the new floor pans will come up, left and right side will come up to here. So we got good metal on both sides here of the car. So that's fantastic. And I will pull away these wire guards later on. These wire guards. And that'll give us a little closer look at the inner sill. But again, given what I can see so far, I think we're going to be in great shape there. So we're going to run through a vacuum. Actually, we're not going to vacuum. We're going to pull the headliner down. Then we'll vacuum. Before we do that, I want to show you on these cars. You see this rust down here? You might remember that from the deep clean episode. I was talking about this area right in here. And it can extend all the way through here. Let me show you why that happens. See that debris back in there? That's exactly why that's rusted. Just dirt, dust, whatever accumulates down there. It gets wet from water coming down this windowsill area and sits in there and it rots. That's what's going on back in here. A little bit in the front too, you see that? The same on the other side. So that's got to get vacuumed and cleaned out. Now, not a big deal, I suppose, because this quarter is going to get peeled off with a new quarter panel. So it will eventually get cleaned anyway. And the inner rocker that's behind that, I'll repair that as necessary. And then, of course, rust proof it, make sure that that doesn't happen again, at least in my lifetime. And hopefully my kid's lifetime. All right, so now it's the real nasty job. We got to move our attention up to this headliner and get it out. So buckle up. Here it goes. That's a messy job. Ugh. All right, let me show you what we're looking at here. All right, so all good with an initial pass of the vacuum. I'll show you down in the quarter panel area. All cleaned out now. You see the daylight. That's the hole that rotted through because of that garbage that was in there. This driver's side was even worse. It's all cleaned out now, but same scenario, just a lot more in here. And I think I know why. Because as I was pulling the headliner down in this area, you might have seen on the camera. In fact, you can see a little piece right there. Like I still got to get the vacuum. There was a mouse house right in this section right here, and just jammed full. And I think it's gone down into here too. So I got to pull this panel off and take a look in there. I suspect the house and droppings and everything else are all in this section here because a lot of it had dropped down into that vacant cavity there. So as I was saying, feeling really good about the back of the car here on the floor area, wheelhouse. Everything looks just great. So that's going to save us some time. The roof is good. There is some surface rust for sure, but I'll treat that. It's just surface rust. Nothing too worried about here. I'll treat that, and then we'll either epoxy prime it or we'll do some POR. I'm not sure. That'll be for later anyway, but not worried about the roof skin of this car. It's in great shape, and the structure, of course, is also great. So good. It's already starting to smell better in here, which is just nice. And so a little bit more vacuuming. Yeah, we'll clean it up in here and we'll put the seats back in. This is all I really wanted to do. I'm not going to pull the trim off or the panels off yet. No need to get into that quite yet. That'll come in due time. But all right, let's get at it. Okay, well, I do want to pull some of these unnecessary seatbelts out. Let's get that done. All right, everything is quote unquote bagged and tagged. Screws are even taped into the original locations of whatever it came out of, or bolts. Might seem like overkill, but I'm telling you, this saves a lot of time on the back end of this build when you do this type of labeling and sorting. And same thing for these headliner bows. They're all labeled. Front 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 rear. Yes, these are all color coded. You can probably see the different coatings on there: yellow, green, pink. So yes, later when I'm putting this all back together, I can just look for the color code spec and get these in order. That takes time. This saves me, for what it took right now, just a few minutes to label those. It's going to make this whole process easier. So just little things like that makes the build go much faster at the end, especially. Okay, so we're going to pull these headliner bows out and get them stored away. I will do a video of me doing the headliner in the car, of course. If you ever wanted to try doing a headliner, I'm telling you, it's nothing to be, afraid of, if I can say it that way. I'll give you the tips and the tricks to doing a headliner that doesn't have wrinkles. If you've seen what I did in the Charger, which is one of the more complicated headliners, I'm telling you, it's not too hard. There's just a few things that you need to know going in. It's no different than really anything else. in these builds. I have to come back for these clips because we don't want to lose them, and we don't want to leave them in there because when we're doing our scuffing and our body work or any work around this area, if we break those, it's just a hassle to replace them. So we'll pull those out, and we're going to get all these clips too. All these clips that are in here. Because we'll lose those for sure. And you'd be surprised what they charge for these clips. It's ridiculous. I don't know if there's one for that back one or not. We're going to check that. Going to have to pull that panel off to know that. So we're going to pull that panel off, and if we see one of those clips, we'll pull this panel off too. Let's get these other clips out. Ah! I didn't have these for the charger. And again, when I bought the car, the charger, someone else had taken it apart, did not bag and tag anything, and also lost a bunch of pieces. And again, you'd be surprised what you get charged for these silly little clips and those sorts of things that go missing along the way of a teardown on a build like this. Okay, I'm gonna put this stuff away, and then we're gonna pull this panel out and see what kind of mouse treasures we got back there. Okay, let's see what kind of treasures we got going on back here. Yeah, that's what's happening here. There we go. Just rusted together a little bit. It's the back of that panel. Not too bad, but you can see this is where all that urine was dropping down here and down into the quarter panel area. That's just glue, nothing to worry about there. Glue from the headliner. So it looks like I got most of it. There's just a piece up here. Hopefully you can see that up there. Yeah, here and there. And then there's still bits down there I got to vacuum out. And there is the clip that I wondered if we had for the headliner bow in the back. So we do need to get that. Okay, well, you saw how bad that was, just stuff full of mouse stuff. So it's all cleaned out now. Of course, I need to get in here at some point with a wire wheel. It's really not rusted as bad as I thought it might be, given all the urine that might have been trapped in here. And the seam seal, I think, was working and keeping the joints clear of moisture. So really, a light cleanup there, and it's ready for a sealer. So quite happy with that, really, in the end. And up here, you can really see how it's just been rusted in there. I don't know if I can get in there or not, but maybe a little bit more I can vacuum out of there. But pretty neat little house for some guy and his family. Some rust back in there. These quarter windows will have to come out. We'll put new seals in, and we've got to get in here and stop that rust from spreading. Not today, but as part of the build. Okay, so gonna do a bit more cleanup, a little bit more vacuuming down in here, and then we'll button that up. We'll put this quarter panel, trim panel back on here, and then I think after one more pass with a vacuum and some cleaner, what I want to do next is just clean up that back window with a razor blade. I hope that's going to bring up that leftover tint glue that's on there. Well, time has come to get the adhesive off this back window. It would be easier to do it when the window's out. I'm not ready to take the window out yet. That won't happen until a much later phase, but I would like to have the window clear so I can see out of it. And this is old window tint that's on here. Don't know how long it's been on there, but look, the easiest way I've ever found to take this stuff off is a lubricant, and for that I just use like Windex. You could use any kind of dish soap, etc. Dilute it down with water, spray it on there, let it sit, and then fresh razor blades. I've done a little bit here just to get started, but just these fresh razor blades, and you get to it. So I'll put this on speed motion, and we'll get cracking. You might be wondering why I don't have that the tool, the holder for the blades. Well, I do, but it's gone missing. I can't find it. So that makes this a little harder than normally. Normal? Can I talk today? All right, we got one half done. It looks, of course, a lot better. I am going to have to make a decision on whether or not I'm going to replace this glass because it does have age. Like it's got just scratches and small pits and so on that I don't know that we're going to want in the final build. Not a decision for today, but it's something I need to keep in mind as we go forward. Let's finish off this last half and then that'll be it. If I don't fall through the floor here first. All right, it's done, and it looks pretty good for a driver. I don't think it's going to cut it for this car. Worse though, I'd probably run it, except for what seems to be some kind of grinder wheel. Let's see if I can get you in close here, and you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, it might be really hard to pick up on the camera, but right here, it looks like it's like a grinder wheel that just spun across the outside of the window. I don't think it's on the inside. Pretty sure that's on the outside. And it's put all these little curly cues in here as it was spinning, almost like a wire wheel versus a grinder wheel, and it just spun. It's too aggressive for any kind of buffing that might have been happening out there on the car when it was, much newer. So for that reason, mainly, this glass isn't going to be usable. So that's unfortunate. Yeah, just unfortunate. It doesn't appear to be the original glass. There's no Mopar marking, so it's a replacement at some point, which makes sense because I found as I was taking off the panel here a few of those glass chunks from when it must have been broken at some point. So, okay, well, at least we know what we're looking for now. We're going to be in the market for a new back window and a windshield. I still think that the side windows are going to be fine, but truth is, I haven't cleaned those, but I'm going to try and make those work. All right, next step. Okay, it's time for these panels to come off. Let's get busy. Come on. There. Wow, it looks like no one's ever been in here. These clips here. Again, new ones come with the panels, but there's just nothing like the original. So I will be saving those, and if I'll save these panels too. I'll stick them in storage somewhere in case I need to reference them when the new ones come in. Let's see, one of them stayed on. Nope. Maybe somebody was in here. Came off a little too easy. Okay, let's get that window rolled up so we can get in here. Oh yeah, okay. That's exactly what I wanted to show you. Wow. This is why we got to clean this out. We're so lucky that it didn't rust. I'm going to get you in here. We'll show you what's going on and why I wanted to do this. All right, what you're looking at is the bottom of the door. And watch this. See all that dirt, dust. We're so lucky that these doors did not capture moisture and rust down there. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to clean all this out. We'll vacuum. We'll look at a wire brush in here, and then we'll use compressed air. I want to get that all cleaned out. Just want to make sure that we save this door. I don't want anything more happening to it while we do the rest of our build. All right, let's get that done. See now that pinch, that crevice where the outer skin and the inner shell come together and are pinched together. Cleaned up pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. I'm going to use compressed air now for a final pass through there. And then I'm just going to put some surface shield in there. Again, probably don't need to do that because this car is going to be sitting in this climate controlled garage for the rest of its time. But I'm going to do that just as a preventative measure. Let's get busy with that. Compressed air, a bit of surface shield. While I'm in here, I'm going to lubricate the door mechanism. There. All cleaned out. And then blowing out with compressed air. And then a little bit of surface shield. That just gives me peace of mind while I'm doing the rest of the car. I know that this thing isn't sitting here eating away in some of the parts that typically do. So we're good to go now. I'm going to do the other door. You don't need to see that. And we'll pick you back up in a bit. All right. I think the final step in the interior here for now anyway was I took off both kick panels, passenger and driver, and vacuumed out by the inner sill there where the floor meets. Good news, all that's in great shape. Bad news is I went in and cleaned up just a little bit of the toe of the firewall here. And there, as I worried about from when we pulled up the vinyl mats, it's quite scaly, and there you can see that there's a hole right there and a hole right there. So it's a little far gone. I am going to have to do some metal work on that. I'm not replacing the firewall, of course, but I will have to replace a few pieces there to give that, I think, some more strength as I weld the new floor piece. The new floor, of course, will come up to this point here. So that'll be fine, but I've got to have, a solid piece of metal to weld to up there. So that's the situation over there, and very similar over to the driver's side. Try to get you in there a little bit. It's not as bad, so it might not require patches. It's hard to say right now until I get a little farther into it, but took that side off, that kick panel. Same thing where the floor meets the inner sill, all great shape. So that rocker panel there is, I think, going to be fine. But again, all new floor on this side, and just need to worry later about whether or not I'm going to have issues with the lower part of the firewall. Those rubber mats from the factory just really kept the moisture in, and that's why this floor is just gone. Um, it's a shame. That's the problem with those vinyl mats, and it's the main issue with this car. Um, the floor is going to be fairly straightforward to replace because I know the rails are good. I know the rockers on both sides are good, inner and outer. Um, this toe board area is going to be the only tricky piece, but I am thinking that I'm going to do a full one-piece floor in the car. I've looked at the price online and so on, so I think that's going to be the better way to go. It will save me some time, even though I'm going to have to cut the tunnel all up to make the 6-speed fit in here. But fine, that's for a later day. You'll notice that everything looks a little oily. I just sprayed Surface Shield on there, PB Blaster Surface Shield, just to keep it from rusting anymore. It'll keep the moisture off that for now. And yeah, so I think what's up next is we're gonna wipe the seats down and get them back in here, and then we are done with the interior for now. I just wanted to show you the frame of the rear seat. I mentioned before how in great shape it was. Look, just it's like it's brand new. Little bit of very light surface rust. Some of that's just dirt on here. So quite blessed, I would say, given what I've used in the past. These are going to be very easy to clean up. I won't have to sandblast them. A light scuff, and I will spray them again black, but they're good. And same here, like just in great shape. Very happy with that. Yeah, like I said earlier, all new foams, matting, all that'll be all brand new, but the frame requires very little work. Nothing's broken in here. All looks in great shape. So we're laughing. I'm just going to wipe this existing vinyl down. Again, it's going to get replaced, but I'll wipe it down and stick these back in the car. Okay, I vacuumed out the front seat just a little bit. Wire wheeled the 4 studs just so that things will go back on nice, and I think it's time to get this thing in the car. So let's see if I can't break my back doing this. On your mark, get set, break. Oh man. All right, interior is gutted to the point that I wanted to get to. Got a good understanding now of what I need to do with metalwork. As I said before, biggest concern is the lower part of that firewall, and not going to know just how bad that is until I get the old floor cut out. I get some of that old scaly metal cleaned up further, and then I'll figure out just what kind of patching I need to do. It's not too big of a deal. It's just disappointing with those rubber mats. Um, anyhow, overall pleased with what we found in here. And that's it. We're going to wrap this episode up. Thanks for watching. Throw in a comment, like, and subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Go ahead and click that button. We'll see you next episode, and we'll go from there. Cheers.